Hey, I'm FTFE. Welcome back to the channel that does to stupidity what the current price of petrol is doing to my wallet. Thank you for joining me for what hopefully won't be too painful a discussion, but you know, we'll see. So tonight we have Rachie 50 coming back. Now, there's been a lot of effort in the community spent on what I'm going to say is trying to help Rachie. There's also been a lot of mockery against Rachie, some rightfully so. And I want to try and use tonight to go over the things that I think she is very, very close to understanding and breaking through to sanity. Because as evidenced in the video by Slyman Dan recently that featured Rachie, she isn't Sleeping Warrior levels of dumb. She actually has the ability to, and I feel bad saying this with some of the things that's happened, but she has the ability to logically think and, you know, actually look at the information and take in what's going on, which makes me very confused as to a lot of the things that has happened. But there's been a lot of effort put in from a lot of people in the community. Some people are very unhappy with the way that the help has been received. But I hope today we can try and push forward a little bit and see if we can break the brainwashing that I think Rachie has undergone. First thing I want to talk about, Rachie, is your new video.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought you put that up as satire.
No.
And this is what really confuses me about you, because as we saw with the Slyman Dan video, you can literally take an exam and pass with a relatively good grade. Yet somehow you lack the ability to think in 3 dimensions, as evidenced by your new video. How do you think the sun could have been below the horizontal? You know, literally below the plane. That's the only way it could have happened, is if the sun was below the plane. How do you think that could happen if the Earth is flat?
It's not below the plane.
Well, it has to be, because the sun is casting a shadow upwards.
Yeah, but it's not. The sun is not below the plane.
It doesn't make sense.
Okay, you ready for a thought experiment?
Go ahead. I imagine this could be painful.
Okay, so imagine a flashlight, but it's really, really powerful. Now, just imagine it like on top of a plane. So it's the sun above the plane kind of thing. So it's at its GP, so to speak. So it's at its zenith. So if this flashlight is above the plane and you're pointing it at the plane, so it's, you know, straight down looking at the plane, the light rays are coming down. As you move the flashlight further away, but keep it focused on that spot on the top of the plane kind of thing, as you move it further and further away, it will appear to get lower and lower and lower until eventually it meets the horizon, and it'll still like appear to get lower and disappear into the horizon. And that's
okay,
what it casts
whether it would appear to sink down, which is what perspective shows us it would do in our line of sight, you know, like railway tracks going into the distance, you know, it appears to go down, but it doesn't actually go down. So the light rays coming from it would still technically be above the plane in your example.
No, because I'm not talking about perspective, how it appears to lower. Like I said, imagine the light rays coming out the torch. Now imagine as you moved away with that torch, you kept shining it on that spot, but this torch was like powerful enough to keep seeing from a distance kind of thing. And you kept shining it on that exact same spot. As you move the torch away, you'd have to like angle the torch. And as you angle the torch, it ends up basically, you know, having an angle going upwards as it sinks into the horizon, or, you know, appears to sink into the horizon.
But yeah, but like you said, it appears to. It doesn't actually. In your
the angle of the light actually does change.
But the angle of the light would never go below the plane.
It does get that far away. It does appear like that.
Appear, but not actually. It would have to, you know, like in perspective, when you're looking at train tracks in the distance, those train tracks would never go above the horizontal. And in the same way, a sun on a flat Earth going away and appearing to shrink into the distance would never go below the horizontal and cast light upwards. That, you know.
But you've got to remember, Wolf is up in the air. There's actually a perfect picture of this that Conspiracy Cats did, and it was actually for the video for me.
God,
and it's
Rachie,
2 people on a bridge. It's 2 people on a bridge, And as the light moves away, it shows it's basically the same level, but as the pole moves away, the light, whatever it was I used. But then he drops the buoy down as in he's sinking into the ground and basically like into the horizon, and that's when you get that angle upwards. He even shows the angle upwards.
Yeah, but there isn't an actual angle upwards, Rachie. There's never going to be an angle upwards in if the sun is physically above it. I mean, come on. To Wolfie in the plane up here, it's going to appear that the sun is coming below him, and for him in the plane, it will be able to cast a shadow upwards because he's perpendicular to the surface. And this is the only way it makes sense to have a shadow cast upwards in the cockpit. Because on the flat Earth, no matter how far away you get, the sun rays will always be, above the plane and never actually below it. Even if the sun appears to set, the sun would physically be higher than the plane at all times. Unless the sun, of course, is below, the 42,000 feet average cruising altitude of the plane. So, do you see how what happened in Wolfie's plane cockpit could only be possible on the globe?
No, it can happen on a flat Earth too, as I described, with the thought experiment of the torch, and then you move it away, and as you angle it on that same spot, it's going to.
But again, the angle will
get
always
lower
be
and lower
up,
and lower.
right? No matter how far away the sun gets, it would never appear to shrink below this line. This angle here.
But it would. That's the thing. As it gets further and further away, it appears to go into the horizon.
Appears to go into the horizon, but never
and
below.
Because Wolf is higher, his horizon is further, so you've got even longer distance to get a different angle where it goes up.
Yeah, but physically, it could never drop below the middle line here.
But it doesn't have to drop physically. That's the point.
No matter how far away it gets. No matter look, this one right here is imagining that it's. This angle is still going to be positive. It's never going to be down here. Ever. It's never, ever, ever going to drop below this horizontal, meaning the sun's rays will never be cast up in Wolfie's cockpit.
Then you got the smushing, how it smushes. Then you got the angle of attack that you got to take into consideration. Smush, it's not what Lemon Bird calls it, the smushing.
Yeah, here's a tip in life in general. Don't listen to Lemon Bird. It's bad for your health.
Yeah, but he's right.
That is never words that could follow Lemon Bird. You could never ever have the words "he is right" following Lemon Bird. That it's actually illegal in the English language. It's just something that's not allowed. You could get in trouble if you ever do that again. If you ever put the words "he is right" next to Lemon Bird, there could be issues. I challenge you to model it in a way on the flat Earth that shows that it could happen. Because there is no model that could ever show that could happen. You just have to invoke magic smushing and random stuff that makes no sense. Yeah, angular resolution that means the angle here is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and the angular resolution has nothing to do with the sun appearing to fall below the horizontal. Not going to happen.
Because that's part of the smushing.
So you're saying the smushing inverts the angular resolution that we're seeing. Smushing that Lemon Bird refers to only refers to smushing into the horizon that the sun appears to do. It doesn't talk about the sun going below. So even you right now are misrepresenting Lemon Bird's own argument, which is batshit crazy to start with.
I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
I mean, you can agree to disagree, but that means you would be wrong. Come on, Rachie. This is no, opinions are irrelevant here. This is facts. You cannot have something physically above something appear to
work on your model.
But it does work on our model because of the fact that the Earth is spherical and it's rotating away from or towards the sun, which means that from Wolfie's point of view, the sun would appear below.
Until you dig more into it.
There's nothing in our model that shows that it wouldn't work. It only works on our model.
Okay, so for starters, you've got parallel light, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so how do you get an umbra and penumbra with parallel light?
Quite easily. They're irrelevant.
That means that the rays have to be divergent.
No, it doesn't. It's really, really big and really far away.
Exactly. Really, really big, really far away. Yet you see from one side of it to the other side of it, you see a circle, right?
Yeah, because it's really far away. Yeah, that's how that works.
Which means that
little cow, big cow. far away cow,
Yeah,
close
but that
cow.
means that-
You know? But you're trying to divert away from the fact that you saw a shadow above the finger, which means the sun would have to be physically, from that point of view, below it, which is impossible on a flat Earth. But if each of these distances was 60 nautical miles, then the degree to, Polaris would change by 1 degree. But because the Earth is curved. But it doesn't work if the Earth is flat, because it means that you can do trigonometry, because you would have to have triangles involved. And when you do the trigonometry, it shows that the height of Polaris changes.
Right, but to get the angle, you still need a horizontal.
No, you don't. I don't. You heard that from Nathan Oakley, and you just parrot it. There's no issue.
You mean the bubble sextant?
No, just any sextant. You can use an artificial horizon with any sextant.
But if you're using a horizon, you're still using a horizontal line, aren't you?
Well, it's not horizontal, because you're usually above the point of the horizon when you're taking it, which is why there's horizon adjustment corrections, and 2 types of horizon adjustment. Well, they're called dip corrections. You've got the dip to the horizon correction, which is when you're using a standard sextant sighting the horizon, or if you're using an artificial horizon, you have to use something called the dip short of the horizon to make sure that you're still using that plane that you need, the tangent that you need. And you have to use the tangent so that you can get the angle. But it only works when you put it onto the surface of a globe. And Austin Whitsitt and Nathan Oakley bleating curved adjacent is ridiculous, because you also can measure an angle to a curved adjacent. In fact, bridge engineering is kind of based on that very premise.
Really?
The angle the cable makes with the tower. Nathan, please tell Quantum Eraser that we could do trig without triangles.
Yeah, Nate, he wouldn't understand. So yeah, it's kind of irrelevant because we don't use triangles and there's no adjacent in celestial navigation. But it shows how the people that you are listening to, Rachie, that are bleating things like, oh, you can't measure an elevation angle with a curved baseline, don't have a Scooby's what they're fucking talking about, because all we need is the vertex. All we need is the point where the 2 meet, and that's where we would measure the angle from, and that's where we would be if we were doing the celestial navigation. So everything that you listen to from Oakley and Sleeping Warrior shows that they just don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. And there is no explanation for how, if the Earth is flat, the angle to Polaris changes by only 1 degree for every 60 nautical miles. And I know you had issues with that before, and I want to try and drive this home. There has to be, if the Earth is flat, it has to have a cohesive explanation for all of the things that we see. All of the things that we see in reality. And what we see in reality is the angle to Polaris, or any celestial object, changes by 1 degree for every 60 nautical miles that you move away from it. Which does not mathematically make sense if the Earth is flat.
Horizontal, and you haven't got one.
We use tangents. We use tangents, and we can take an angle from a vertex, so it's absolutely fine.
Well, I need to do that. What I'd like to do myself is do it myself, but I don't know. But,
Well, if you want to do it yourself, here's the thing.
Maths in there, baby.
MC Toon isn't only doing his challenge, but we're giving away a sextant as well. Loki Fish Mars will send you his sextant for you to do it yourself and figure it out. Yet, not one flat Earth.
He's sending you a sextant, it would be useless.
Well, no, he's sending you the instrument to get the evidence yourself. That's the thing.
Yeah, but it would be like him sending it you. It'd be useless. The weather's terrible. It'd be on point.
Well, then you don't need to use. It doesn't matter. You can use a puddle on the floor to get your angles.
Not only that, I don't know how to do the maths there. And then we don't just get it off the mainstream. We have to figure all this out ourselves. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, celestial navigation works. It has worked for centuries and centuries, right? You agree with that?
Probably.
Sextants work. Celestial navigation works. And because it works, with the method that it works, means that it has to be a globe. But if the Earth is flat, none of those methods are correct. all the methods that we use to get the measurements for the sextant, all the calculations that we do, which actually take the circumference of the Earth into account, would all be wrong. Which means that somehow we've managed to use sextants and other methods of celestial navigation successfully for hundreds and hundreds of years by doing it wrong. Do you see how that doesn't make sense?
Well, yeah, but if you think about like reverse engineering things, like how do you know it's not just turned into a globe from a flat place?
There's no reverse engineering involved in celestial navigation. It works because we do these measurements.
Quantum horizons has showed them quite a few times.
No,
as has Nike, I believe.
But what he shows, and I've actually showed the same paper, what he shows is a example and a thought experiment for if there was a flat plane and there was a pole in the middle, you could find the elevation angle. But then the very next, the quantum erasure was using the same citation, and the same in the same thing. It says underneath that to do celestial navigation, the circle of equal latitude is actually spherical in nature. So
now, can you use one from NASA saying about using triangles and right angles?
But was it about celestial navigation? No,
I believe so. That's what he was using it for.
But we can show why a sextant works from spherical geometry of the Earth, and how it doesn't work if the Earth is flat. So regardless of what citations they're misquoting, and you notice how they will never show the entire papers, only the little paragraphs that they think backs them up, very much like Flatsoid. It doesn't matter.
But they'll give you the link as well that you can...
Yeah, and when we look at the link, we find that it actually describes the celestial navigation method correctly. But let's ignore the maths and why it works on a globe for now, and focus on the fact that we know that there is a drift, right? We know that when we do the pendulum, we get that drift.
I disagree with that.
What do you mean? Is this empirically shown via experimentation?
I've only seen one, and that was the gentleman physicist.
That when the experiment is done properly, wherever it's done on the world, we get the expected amount of drift. Right? So the question has to be, if the Earth is flat and non-rotating, why does that happen?
My question would be, well, if it don't matter which way it swings in, then you should get different drifts, shouldn't you?
No, you shouldn't, because
if you're swinging it, if you're swinging it east to west, the way it's rotating, or meant to be rotating, and if you're swinging it like north to south, then it's not meant to be rotating that way, so you're not going to get the drift one way compared to the other.
The drift will do an entire rotation in 300. Well, depending on where you are. If you're at the North Pole, the drift will do 360 degrees in 24 hours. For every degree.
But you don't know that. That's
well, we do. It was done at the South Pole, and that's what we got. The question has to be why it happens if the Earth is flat and non-rotating.
It could be a million reasons.
Like,
you don't know
name one. Name one.
Name one.
Yeah.
Kind of electromagnetism.
It doesn't matter the material. You still get the same drift. Therefore, electromagnetism is not a factor.
The ether.
You know, the entire thing. And those are ink pads. And what it is, when one ink pad dried up, which took about 10 minutes, they just swapped out another ink pad. Just so that you could keep getting that's all those were. And
but it's a bit weird that there's more on one side.
That's just where they were, and that's just the paper. The paper's already held down. They're just ink pads. They're not magnets or anything. So
just looked a bit suspicious, that's all.
It looks a bit suspicious isn't how science works, Rachie.
Pardon me?
Are you dumb?
I think she's dumb. I think she's dumb.
Are you,
like, medically speaking, are you like
I'm not trying to be mean. Like, are you dumb?
Are you? I think she's dumb.
I think she's dumb.
I think she's dumb. I think is she? Do you think
she's dumb?
But it's because the Earth is rotating. The pivot point is rotating with the Earth, which means that the swing of the pendulum maintains its swing and its position of swinging relative to the axis of Earth's rotation, which means that the Coriolis force at each point of that swing is applied to the bob, making that drift happen. You remember when the song that was done for you, and you said that you understood?
Yeah, but no, see, that's what I'm saying. I understand what you're saying, but it still doesn't make sense.
What about it doesn't make sense?
Because, see, from your point, I get your point of view now. I didn't before, but you're basically trying to say it comes from a change of reference frame, from being in a non-inertial reference frame in Einstein's general relativity.
Yeah, but I want to be even more basic than that. I
don't want to be basic. I want to know.
But that's the thing, right? You're trying to skip the basic and go straight to the understanding the complicated, and that's where the problem comes from. If you want to go and be an engineer, right? If you want to go and be an engineer that builds something incredible, you don't need to understand relativity. You need to understand Newtonian physics. But if you
don't need to understand Newtonian gravity either.
You do. You absolutely do. If you want to build a bridge successfully, you need to understand Newton's law of gravity.
Why? Because
that is what would give you the apparent force that you would need to take into account.
What force?
The apparent force that is created.
What force?
The apparent force that is created. In Newtonian physics, there is an apparent force.
You're talking gravity?
Yes. And in Newtonian physics, there is an apparent force created by gravity. All right?
So what you're saying is roughly an acceleration rate of 9.81?
Well, depending on where you are on the Earth, that changes quite a lot. But in the world that we live in, which is a Newtonian world, we don't need to worry about general relativity. Einstein never made Newton go away. He never said, oh, you know what? Newtonian physics doesn't work anymore. In fact, he clearly stated that
he essentially did with his laws of motion.
No, but he literally said that you could never get the basis of physics that came from Newton out of physics in general. It doesn't matter. Nothing that he says, nothing that Einstein ever said stopped Newtonian physics working, right? And Newtonian physics works fine. It always has and it always will. You know, we can use Newton's laws of motion. We can use Newton's law of gravity to calculate all the things that we here on Earth in a Newtonian world need to calculate.
So how do you think they would feel when, say not your own kids, because your own kids probably know, but so say you've got some kids and they learn that, you know, gravity's a force, and then later on they learn, oh no, gravity's not a force. So hold on.
Again, this is something that flat earthers get in their head. Gravity's a force. In Newtonian physics, gravity isn't a force. Gravity creates a force. The force of gravity. Gravity itself isn't a force. Gravity creates the force that we can measure. And it's not lying to children to tell them that you can measure that force, because, Rachie, you can measure that force. You can calculate the acceleration based on the mass. And the distance. You can use Newton's law successfully to figure out every variable in that equation. So it's never a lie, because it works. Just because there is a deeper explanation as to why it is happening doesn't ever stop Newtonian physics in that, you know, limited explanation being a true fundamental fact of nature that we base so much of our world on. We do perceive time. We're perceiving time right now. Time is traveling.
But you say that we can't perceive it, so therefore it looks like an acceleration to us.
Yeah,
because we can't imagine it as 4D.
Oh no, it would still look like an acceleration, even if you could perceive the warping of the fabric in 3 dimensions. You know, I probably shouldn't have said 4D, because we can almost leave time out of it for the explanation that we're trying to do. But you know, you imagine that fabric.
You say you can leave time out of it, but time is actually what causes gravity in your model.
That's wrong on quite a lot of levels. Well, time changes depending on how much space-time is warped. That's what we experience. That's what we've observed. But again, Rachie, I'm trying to keep things simple and just.
But that's the thing. I don't want simple. I want.
But you need you need the simple.
Rachie,
you need the simple. That's why you don't touch general relativity until you get to masters, because it needs to be simple. Otherwise, you're not going to understand it, and that's why we teach kids the simple stuff. Because they're not going to understand relativity if we chuck them out. If we chuck relativity at them and say, now calculate how fast...
Kids, to be honest with you.
Oh, no, I'm not. Trust me, I've got kids. I'm not underestimating them at all. And, you know, I've taught my son maths. I did a lot of homeschooling. And I taught him algebra. But I couldn't have taught him algebra if I hadn't taught him basic arithmetic. You know? I couldn't just all of a sudden go, here's algebra. if I taught him no maths to start with. You know, you need to walk before you can run. And that's why the problem with you, Rachie, is you're trying to understand general relativity before you've understood Newtonian physics. PhD Tony is a fucking genius, right? He is someone that has spent his entire life dedicating his knowledge and his experience to unraveling the mysteries of gravity and using that, in industry. It's what his life has been.
And it's show some evidence.
Right.
It couldn't. Okay.
The evidence is that it exists. The evidence is that these things exist. The fact that they're used. The fact that gravity gradiometry. People are paid big bucks to use this to find minerals. What you're asking is for Tony to use a very sophisticated piece of technology to prove something to a flat earther. I'm asking him to prove a claim.
He makes a claim about it, and I'm asking him to prove the claim. If you can't do it, that's not my problem.
The problem is that whether you realise it or not, you are calling PhD Tony a liar. And you're not just calling PhD Tony a liar.
I'm asking him to back up his claim.
Wait, hold on. You're not just calling PhD Tony a liar, but you're calling all of his colleagues a liar. You're calling everyone that has ever studied gravity a liar.
I'm asking him to back it up.
You don't get then to question his validity of his claim because he can't use that specific piece of equipment to show you something that you've asked for. That's called pseudoscience. You're giving unrealistic expectations.
No, it's called asking you to back up your claim.
But there is many papers that you can read that will show that this has been done. And just because it's written down doesn't mean it's not proof.
Papers are never going to convince anybody. When will you understand that?
Well, I'm sorry. So unless it's physically recorded and you see it yourself, then it's not evidence. Is that what you're claiming? Because that's not how these things work, Rachie.
Yes, testable, repeatable, and demonstrable. And if you can't test it,
exactly, Rachie. Hold on. Exactly. Science is testable, demonstrable, and repeatable, and it's used every single day, repeatedly. It is testable, but that doesn't mean just because you don't have the technology to do it and you can't personally test it, doesn't mean it's not testable and repeatable. No, you don't get to question the claim when all the evidence is there. Just because you deny the evidence being there.
Paper.
Yeah, and that's evidence. Just because you deny the evidence.
Paper's not evidence.
No, shut up. I'm talking right now because you're starting to piss me off. All right, you do not.
Answer the chat, to be honest with you.
You do not get to question the claim when all the evidence is there. No, you don't. You do not get to question the claim when all the evidence is there. Just because it's not your. Right, shut up. I'm talking right now. Hold on, Rachie. I'm talking right now. You do not get to question the claim because it does not meet your specific standard of evidence. The fact is, there is countless peer-reviewed articles about this. There is countless experiments that are documented and shown of these devices doing what they say they do. The submarine hygrometers that submarines are used, the paper that I have in front of me.
There's many that show them. I'm asking you to show me. You can't.
Yeah,
you just said there's many that show me. Show me. You can't.
Yeah, all the papers that are describing the experiments.
There's many that show me. Show me.
Yeah, it's all recorded in papers. All the peer-reviewed articles.
Oh, so not showing it then.
Yes, in peer-reviewed articles, Rachie, that is showing it. That is how you demonstrate something in science, is you write a peer-reviewed article saying that it's been done, and if someone wants to test it, they're welcome to test it. But you do no wait no you do not no stop. You do not get to question peer-reviewed science because it does not meet your specific standard of evidence. What you are doing there is pseudoscience. You are demanding stop interrupting me when I'm talking. What you are doing is demanding specific standards of evidence that only you will accept. That is pseudoscience. Rachie, you are being dishonest. Yes, the demonstrations have been recorded in peer-reviewed articles that you can check yourself.
Peer review does not mean a demonstration. How many times?
Peer review articles of a demonstration does mean there's been a demonstration done. You can Google definition on your own. It doesn't change the fact that it has been demonstrated.
It doesn't change the fact that you don't know what a demonstration is.
Rachie, stop it. You are being fucking dishonest now and pissing me off. Stop it.
No, you am, yeah.
No, stop it. All right? This is your last chance. This is the last chance you get with me and the last chance you get with this community. All right? We have tried and tried.
Oh, do you think I care?
You should care. Here's the thing.
I'll give you a nasty pieces of work anyway.
Says the person that fucking follows someone's child predator. Yeah. Says the person that follows someone that slaps their kid live on the stream. Yeah. We're the nasty pieces of shit. How many flat earthers have told me to kill myself? How many flat earthers have told me that they will actually kill me? How many flat earthers want to fight me? We're not nasty pieces of shit. That's flat earthers. And here's the thing, Rachie, right? You do this because you want attention. You would get a lot more attention because you are the one that pushes pseudoscience. You are the one that doesn't care about truth, right? This is your final chance, Rachie.
The definition of science is experiment. You haven't even got an experiment.
The definition of science is not experiment. Oh my god, who told you the definition of science was experiments, you fucking moron?
Did I say that?
You literally just said that! Those were the words that just came out of your dumb mouth! Science is not experimentation. You are making shit up. Rachie, it is used every single day. You are calling people liars. That's why PhD Tony got angry. Because you doubted the fact that he does his job. You've doubted the fact that he has spent his life studying, right? And that was wrong. What you did was wrong. And if you were a decent person, you would say sorry to PhD Tony for doubting him at all. But you're not a decent person, Rachie. I've tried to work with you, but you're not a decent person. You're a liar. You're a manipulator. You're an attention seeker. That's what you are. All right? I have naively tried to help you over and over and over. Explain to you how Coriolis works. Demonstrated with experiments that the pendulums do what we say they do. Showed you what gravity does. Explained to you the difference between the Einsteinian and Newtonian. But you just doubt it all because you refuse to actually listen and learn. Because you are fundamentally a dishonest person. And you've been brainwashed. It's fucking sad that you've been brainwashed, but that's it. You cannot break that brainwashing. You want to live your life in ignorance, and that is sad. You want to support people like Sleeping Warrior that tells the world he preys on children. That's what you do. These are the kind of people that you support. This is the kind of world that you are pushing, with those people trying to be at the forefront of science. The deniers, the liars, the deceivers. Those ones. We are the ones with the evidence. We are the ones with the experiments. We are the ones with the peer-reviewed evidence and papers that back up what we say. But because it doesn't meet your specific standard of evidence, you're going to deny it and call everyone else a liar. That makes you a dishonest person, Rachie. We have tried to help you. We have tried and tried and tried to help you. But you don't want help, you want the attention.